How are you doing today?
Thank you, Ron. I'm good. Ready to fight my way through this day.
100%. And it's now we on the fifth week on your book, and the chapter is Nourish Yourself.
So, Ron, the book is called Yes, Yes, You, and it is about 10 stepping stones to get on with your life. In short, that means that there are 10 tools that I have collated over 23 years of life coaching, of trauma counseling, being a specialist wellness coach. I am also a trauma counseling via logotherapy and a number of other modalities, hence my honorary doctorate.
Fantastic, Barbara. And by just working with you and going through these stepping stones, it's helped me on my journey. And you know what my journey is. I mean, what I've gone through. And And I'll say to anybody, if you've got time, go purchase this book. It's on Amazon. But before we
Yes.
get in there, Barbara, what I would like to ask you, getting into chapter 5, nourish yourself. What do you mean by nourishing yourself? And you talk about the vehicle that carries your soul. What do you mean by that?
So, so the body is way more important than we give it credit for. We see bodies, especially via the thinking of social media, as this beauty, vitality, etc. And it is that. What it is also, however, is, in my eyes, the very vehicle for our souls. Our souls are carried by our bodies. Our bodies are like a car carrying a human being from A to B. The soul has a journey, Ron. We're here for a purpose. We have a life calling that is ours and only ours to achieve. The body helps us facilitate that journey. The body is kept alive, flourishing automatically almost. The body is the structure that pulls everything together, all the organs, all the tissues, all the bones, all the blood, everything is held in perfection, in balance in the body. What it also does is holds the essence of us, our life dynamic life force. So when we talk about body and nourishing self, the body has a way bigger job because of the calling that we have in our lives and assisting us to get to our chosen destination. Here's where the problem arises. Not many of us understand the power of our lives. Not many of us understand that we are here for this life calling, for this purpose. And as a result of that, too many of us are damaging ourselves. We destruct ourselves. We destroy the very vehicle that is carrying us into life, through life, and out onto the other end of life. We need to look after it. We need to nourish self.
And Barbara, what you mentioned, which is quite important, and we spoke it so many times, is purpose. A lot of us don't even know what your purpose is. And I've been doing a survey for myself. I mean, doesn't matter if it's a church, doesn't matter if it's in a work environment or sitting at a coffee shop speaking to people. And I'll say to them, what is your purpose? And 99% comes back and says, just to survive. Yeah.
Sadly, sadly. But here's the irony of that, Ron. If we live just to survive, We just miss out on the grander picture of it all. What is so special about our purpose when we see the grander picture of it all is that in itself energizes us to not only survive, but to thrive. If our brain is so limited into the process of just surviving, we don't give our brain the opportunity to look for the thriving, to look for the how to thrive. And this is the importance of this book, Ron. This book is about how to thrive through our own reflection, through our own importance, through our own gifting, through our own life calling. How do we do that? We're not taught that. The book teaches us that.
And you're so correct, Barbara, because I mean, people are so worried, and you mentioned in opening statement that our social media ruins our lives, but it can also enhance our life if we figure out what your purpose is.
Absolutely, no doubt about that. It's like the story of the knife. When the knife came out, it was dangerous. It was this, it was that. And mustn't use them. Use your hands, use your teeth. No, it's about what do you do? What do you do with it? How do you manage your life better because of it? Make it work for you, not against you.
100%. And as I said, sometimes that knife might cut you every now and then. But you'll figure it out quite quickly. But you have to have those cuts every now and then to make that great dish. You can have a blunt knife, but we'll battle to cut onions. If you've got a sharp knife, it goes through the onions quite nicely. So how are you going to get,
Yes.
if you want to get your time sorted out, just make sure that you're sharp, that you've got a sharp vision, because you can cut through all of that BS around you, because that's where I see it, and that's what I've learned. Which brings me to the next point here. How does self-nourishment affect someone's life's mission?
So let me put it to you this way. Our bodies, our beings, can be related to the story of our vehicles, our car, for instance. Our car needs oil, it needs water, it needs petrol, it needs tires, it needs maintenance, it needs being looked after. When we look after our vehicle, the body, when we look after ourself, the being, that which we are to become, we dramatically reduce risk. When we reduce risk because we are in good nick, as they say, in good condition, then we have the opportunity to move into life, even into the unseen of life, into the circumstances of life that show up, that require from us thinking capacity, emotional management, the physical doing, the actions, etc., etc. When we self-nourish, we get to give ourselves what we need on a daily basis, not only to survive the day by day by day, but to actually accumulate and therefore thrive ultimately into the life that we believe we need to come to. Now, here's the trick. If we do not understand what we believe about life, if we do not plan what we want in our life, then we're not going to get anything out of life. Life is very clever. It'll give us exactly what we have planned for, what we have determined as being valuable to us. The nourishment adds value to the vehicle, the car, the body, and it reduces risk when the body, the car, is required to do more, to stand, in the face of circumstances that require us to be more vigilant and more demanding of us, that we have got the energy and the power and the force to know that we can.
Barbara, I just like the way you use a car because it gets you from A to B. And not every car is built the same. Not every car's got the same engine in. Some is on automatic and some is in manual. And some people that might still sit in neutral because they can't figure out where the gears are. But the only way you're going to learn what your purpose is I look back in the COVID days. A lot of says, I'm going to lose my job, I'm going to lose that. But all of a sudden, by getting into a mindset, what must I do now? Boredom kicks in, and then all of a sudden, a new flashlight comes in. I can do this. I can become what I want to be. Let me see what I can do online. Where can I go from here? And sometimes you have to, some of us go into a state of what did I do wrong? Or why did COVID happen? It's sometimes then when your creativity comes out. The big problem that we're going to face now is what's AI going to do with my purpose? And that's going to be a big one. But if you're creative, you'll always have a job. You'll always have a purpose. You'll always have an opportunity as long as you can use your creativity in going forward.
100%, 100%. It's all about management, is it not? And the consequences, is it not? Because there are always going to be results of what we do or what we do not do. So rather let go of the things that are avoidable and make life work for us. Make life become that piece of joy that we know we have a power behind us. We know we have a destiny in front of us. We know that we have me, us, you, the very energy force that can make it happen.
Which flows to the next point. Can you explain how the mind, body, and soul are connected in this chapter?
Yes. So they are connected, firstly. Secondly, the starting point in my field is that when we learn to manage our minds through the management of our emotions, then we get to understand and experience what we call soul. So when the mindset is developed, on that note, Ron, I have got clients who have said to me that this book has given them 5 years advancement on their psychological development. And that's what the whole process is about. It is about understanding where we sit in our bodies, where we sit in life itself, where we sit in the past, the present, and the future, where we sit in life force itself. When we understand that, we are a very small but very important cog in the wheel that makes it all work, then we give ourselves the opportunity to step forward into our life calling, our purpose. We find meaning. When we come from that mindset, when we understand that emotions can rob us of our thinking, then we have the opportunity to sit still and be with soul. For the soul does need calm. The soul does need us to listen to its whispers. The soul is our eternity. the soul is with us, has been from our past into our present, and will be into our future. We carry soul in this body, and therefore, best we look after the body, look after the mind, and look after the emotions.
Probably very important what you just said there. And I think a lot of us, and it might not form part of this chapter, but I think it forms part of the whole thing, is what you're going to put into your body to nourish that soul, like food. I mean, sugar is for me a no-go. I realize, because it just makes you tired. It just that I mean, alcohol, all of this just ruins your day. And this is what I say is, if you can nourish yourself with a good diet, I think that, or just stand up half an hour early and go for an early morning walk just to clear that mindset. And I know we're going to speak about gratitude in next chapter, but just having that gratitude of being who you want to be, that already, I mean, that's what I've found, that nourishes my soul. Because if I don't start off with I am in the morning, I mean, my whole day is gone. So it starts with me first, and that's a fuel to get into the car, to get in from A to B, which brings me to the next point. What are small daily practices people can start with?
Oh, here's one of them. I do this every day. Gratitude. We are going to speak about it in the next chapter, so I won't go into it now. But gratitude is a daily ritual for me. It has to be. It is part of who I am, and it's part of my energy force. I also have a ritual in the mornings that I call yacht, yellow velvet armchair hot tea. And
Okay.
that is my little book, my A5 book is moved to the other side of my room, where I literally plan my day, what it's going to look like, and what I have achieved in the day is my wins. It's a bit more of a process than that, but that for now, to keep that simple, that goals and wins recording day by day by day gives us a place of achievement, gives us a place of activity, gives us a place of gratitude, gives us a place of you did stuff, you're doing stuff. It accumulates. This is the beauty, Ron. When we understand that our life calling, our purpose, is way bigger than us, when we understand that we've got a purpose, every single day counts, that I will never, ever, ever, ever get today again. I will never get today again. This comes once in a lifetime. It has a 24-hour window. And my job then is to fill it with value. Fill it with whatever it is that this being, this purpose requires of me in this day.
And Barbara, it's so important what you just said. Plan your day, and it's like your email box. And the reason I mention an email box, because we get so much spam. So rather go through all the stuff that is important and work on that straight away. The ones that's not so important, put it for midday. And if you want to look for the Black Friday specials, leave it for Friday.
100%. We're so easily distracted, are we not? Too much coming in at us. And again, it's about what is it I want for today? What is my priority? What is my focus? Will it help and develop my purpose of life? If it does, then you're on the right track.
and it's so important. And I was listening. I looked at Elon Musk's day. He writes down 3 things that he has to accomplish for the day. In that, he creates what is important in those 3 things that he can do himself, or if he can outsource it to somebody, because his time is valuable, but he understands what his accomplishment is for the day. It's not about the money or what he wants to accomplish. It's his vision that he wants to do because of where he wants to go. It's the same with the people who just runs a small cleaning business. They will know who the clients are, who they want to work with. They will look at who they want um, to do work for. And Bob Proctor explains it quite nicely because he was in the cleaning business and he grew a big business. Cleaning was not his purpose, but business was, and he just see how he can multiply. And everything started with a seed. Because if you're not going to write it down and you're not going to visualize it and you're not going to see what opportunities you are, you're going to always work for that boss to get it out of you to make him wealthy instead of you using your own purpose and passion because you're too scared to take that risk. And you always say, if only. And I think that is the biggest word in the dictionary because, I mean, which brings me to the point. Why reflection is what nourishes us for importancy, making it important to us to nourish our mind.
Well, reflection is all about journaling. Reflection is all about listening to the small voice, the productive intuition. Reflection is about kicking off our shoulder the little voice, the devil voice that does not serve us. So the whole concept of reflection, Ron, is to become conscious of what we are not yet conscious of. And that's why for me, journaling first thing in the morning in my yellow velvet armchair routine is the most important time of the day for reflection. I've come out of sleep, I've come out of dreaming, I've come out of waking, possibly thinking, digesting my dreams already, thinking, trying to work out my goals already. Reflection through journaling and consciousness makes me clear as to what this 24 hours is going to do for me. How am I going to feed the 24 hours that is available to me? How am I going to work out what doesn't work for me today and what does work for me today? Unpack the day, not from a sense of emotions and crazies. Oh, I don't feel like getting out of bed. I'm sleeping under the duvet today. I mean, there's a role for that now and again, but that is not our normal daily method of operation. It ought not to be, because then there's an underlying reason for that. Depression, despair, despondency, anxiety all play a role when we want to pull over the duvet, and that's it for our lives. And there needs to be support around that very issue in life. And so the concept is become conscious in reflection. Become conscious of what it is that you are perceiving to come to the fore. That's what journaling is about. It is that transition out of self onto a paper where you can see it and where you can decide whether this works for me or not. Reflection is very important.
And Barbara, you just mentioned something important. I'm just looking at my own life because I've got a very creative mind. I mean, and the worst part is I can finish other people's sentences because I mean that's but here's something important, of having a creative mind. You see all the opportunities on a daily basis. But it reminds me of a baboon going through a cornfield. He wants to get as much corn as possible. So he puts it underneath his arm and gets to the next one, pulls it off, opens his arm. The other one falls out and he puts it one underneath his arm. When he gets to the other side, he's only got one corn left or 1 milli left. Because we've got all of these ideas, but we ruin whatever's behind us because we've never written it down. Because it's that key of that new purpose that you can find by writing it down, and you can have the whole cornfield, not just having 1 milli at the end of the day or one corn. Which brings me to the point of, can you share some examples of your own life, Barbara?
Yeah, I can. So, I remember distinctly being about 9 years old and standing on our driveway. That was a driveway for a house that stretched across 2 acres of ground. And I turned up to the heavens in my despair, and I said to God, there has to be more to life than this. I wanted more. I wanted to know why I was on this earth at that time with these people, with these circumstances. When I came to understand my purpose of life, I was able to develop myself around what I believed was my purpose of life. And you know, there's something very wonderful about having a purpose, and that it keeps you honest with yourself. It grows values in yourself. It grows a code of honor for yourself. I did not want to be a world life force consumer. I wanted to be a life force contributor. I knew that I had to do something in my way of development to create the contributor to life. I have the honorary doctorate simply because of that, because I have lifelong learning behind me. I was honored with an honorary doctorate as a teacher, as a counselor, as a coach, as a author, as an author, as a speaker. Here's the irony, Ron. I was an introvert. And not only was I an introvert, I was also a female child. And that in my family meant that I would get married, barefoot, pregnant in the kitchen, and that was my destiny. Until I decided that I was going to do something about that destiny. Being an introvert, I had to learn how to get over myself. I had to learn how to engage with other people. I had to learn how to be able to have a voice towards myself and other people. So as a woman, I decided I was going to buck the system and grow me regardless.
100%, Barbara. And you know, each one has got a journey to become that success, the person that's got that purpose. Everybody's got that roadmap to become who they want to be. And it's sometimes, as I said, you start every day by writing it down. And I would say put down two columns, wins and challenges. What is your wins? What is your challenges? And maybe get the same, maybe work with a friend who's going through something similar and figure out how you can have an accountability partner to help you to become the better person. And I say is always look for a person that's better than you. who understands life a bit more. You might have a better idea of being a great nurse. Other person might be a better accountant. The other might be a better attorney. But if you start sharing your wins and challenges, each one win has got the same win, somebody's got the same challenges. But at the end of the day, you've got a common goal, what you want to achieve. It might be 3 of you, or might be 4 of you. But do it consistently, like you and I do every Friday morning. We create our wins and challenges, even if we're in 2 different fields. But your common goal is to find out what is our purpose and how can we create a better purpose for self going forward. Um, which brings me to the next point. What common habits block self-nourishment?
Being unconscious blocks self-nourishment. When something is too inconvenient, it blocks self-nourishment. When we lack self-respect, it blocks self-nourishment. Procrastination is a big one. And then taking our bodies for granted. These all block our self-nourishment.
And Bobby, there's a word that you mentioned, procrastination. I think I've written the book. I think I'm on chapter 50 already on procrastination. And the problem comes in, and I'm still talking about myself. When it comes to procrastination, sometimes being ADD and dyslexic, you cannot sometimes express yourself. And all of a sudden you take your mind off somewhere else because you get frustrated. But I've started to learn by writing things down that it helps me with my procrastination. And a lot of us don't write it down. Um, I've got a mind map. So when I get an idea, I'll work on that and then I'll put keywords in that I can understand. And AI made it much easier for me as a procrastinator because I can now put it in to German. I speak to it, says, please help me with this. How can you do it? And all of a sudden it starts stimulating my mind and say, okay, this is where my direction and goal goes. But it's how the procrastination is one of the key things that holds us back for your purpose. Um, and I've seen it with so many people. I mean, I've met a person now, he's probably in his 40s and he still can't read and write, but he's clever in what he's doing. He, People don't see him because it can't even, it gets mixed up with the digits on his cell phone. But when he speaks, you can see he's got that entrepreneurial mindset. All you have to do is to bring him in, to mentor him and guide him. But because of people around him, he feels stupid. He feels depressed. What do I do now? But people like myself, understanding that type of person, can see the opportunities and guiding those people to a better life. And sometimes we have to give to receive. And I think that's important. So, Barbara, with the last question I've got, because we're close to our time, is what key insights should listeners remember about self-nourishment?
You are the master. You are the designer of your own life. There will always be consequences to our choices. That's inevitable. So my suggestion then is make sure that you choose wisely.
Barbara, thanks for that. And I've mentioned this a few times. I'll always look at my hand. If I look at my hand, the thumb is my strength. Just think about it. When you open up a can, you use your thumb because it's the strongest finger on your hand. When you point to something, that is your direction. Where are you going to? The third one is the brand. I won't close the other 2 fingers. But the third one is your brand. Who am I? Where am I going? The ring finger. Who do you want to build relationships with? You know, it's who you're going to mix with, who's better than you, who you're going to grow with. But the pinky is always the one that fascinates me because we always break a pinky promise to ourselves. Because if we figure out, stop making promises to yourself and start putting everything on a piece of paper. Because if you put everything together, all your fingers, your strength, your direction, your brand, your ring finger, and the pinky promise, you got power. And
The
on that
power.
note, we all got a success. We've all got a success story. We all got something to fall back on. Start writing down your purpose. Start writing down your goals. So why don't you join us next week, chapter 6, same time. Let's talk about gratitude. Thank you, Barbara. And the comments, the book title will be in the description of YouTube. So go on to Amazon, get your book. Have an awesome day.